welcome to another Fonzie production. I'm hosting Fonzie Smith, and today I wanted to do a vlog on, well, it's a daddy vlog really. I know it's not normal for a motorcycle vlogger to do daddy vlogs, but that is sort of the other half of my life. I'm a single daddy and have been for about 5 years now, to my 3 wonderful gorgeous children, 3 of them under 10, 10, 8 and 6. And what brings on a daddy vlog rather than a motorcycle vlog was obviously doing the school run for all the years, and I do every morning and pretty much every afternoon school run. Obviously you get to see the same group of people, and you get friendly to say hi to the ones you see regularly. And I noticed that when I was dropping one of mine off the other day, well, I dropped all 3 of them off, but you know, when I was taking one into their classrooms, I noticed one of the other little, one of the other mums who I speak to quite regularly, a little lady was getting a bit upset, and so she dropped it off, and I said to her, "Is your little one all right?" And she said, yes, it's just a bit wobbly sometimes going into school. And I said to her, yes, I've had that actually. I've had that. 2 of mine have been a little bit sometimes wobbly getting into school. Can I give you some tips or advice of what I do? And she said, yeah, certainly. I'm open to an idea if it can make it easier and better for everyone. So I thought I'd do a little vlog about how to get the kids into school. For me, they've never been terrible. They haven't been flat refusal about going to school. One of mine really wouldn't choose to go to school, but most of the time they're happy to go to school, which is good really, because when I was at school I blooming hated it, and I would have missed as much as possible. But the kids these days, I think they have improved schooling a lot more to make it a lot more comfortable for the kids to go to school. But some mornings you just can't help feeling a little fragile, I suppose, and the children feel the same. It's good to remember that although they are children, they are still little people. And one of the things I teach my kids is don't treat somebody how you wouldn't like to be treated yourself. So, you know, I don't accept mine being horrible to people for no reason, because they wouldn't like people being horrible to them. But going back to the mum, I think there's about 3 tips I would use for getting my children into school when they were feeling a bit wobbly. The third one is probably, I would try to explain to them that I'm on their side, and I agree that, you know, going to school isn't that great. I mean, I say I didn't like it, and I'll tell them I didn't like it, and, you know, I understand your positioning, but it's really not my doing that you have to go to school. It's like the government and the police, and you know, you have to. I would say forced, but it's the rules and regulations of life that you have to go to school the way we do schooling. I mean, I obviously know there's homeschooling and all sorts of bits and pieces like that, but for mine, they're obliged to go to school, and I've got the rule of sending them, and I wouldn't send them to school if I didn't have to. You know, when on days off or summer holidays, I never send mine to summer club. They always get the offer to if they want to go, but if they say no, I'm more than willing to make the arrangements not to send them. You know, I'm happy not to send them to school. So what I'm trying to do is be on their side, and you know, rather than them being upset with me, it's we're upset together about having to go to school, but it's got to be done. Like the same as when I drop them off at school and I have to go to work, and earn some money for everything, and that's why I do it. And you have to go to school and learn to be smart so you can get on in life in the future. I do also explain, like, sometimes when they come out of school and I said, how was your day? And they say, yeah, great. And I was sort of like, oh, okay. I was a little bit worried that you was not going to have a happy day because you was a bit upset going in this morning. But then I could use that the next time when I'm sort of explaining that, you know, we have to go to school for this reason and that reason. And also, when you come out of school and I ask you how you're doing, you always enjoy it. So, you know, it's not going to be that bad in there, is it? It's just this little bit of separating, I suppose, that they don't like. So once we've explained that, sometimes that's enough, sometimes that helps, and they can just sort of, you know, they agree and, you know, wipe a tear away, and they sort of trot on in, and, you know, they get on with their day. And I suspect 99 times out of 100, all the kids, after they've been in school for about 10 minutes or 15 minutes, forget about their separation anxiety and carry on with their day. But the second tip I tend to use, I sometimes, well, I used to use it a bit, but was obviously the old reward technique. I'm not the greatest fan of it because, I don't know, it can get expensive or long-winded, and I try to only use it on certain occasions. But it was, you know, if you go into school, I'll tell you what, you know, your favourite lollipop we got at home, or a favourite sweetie, or their favourite candy, as my children like to call it, because they watch a lot of YouTube, and the Americans. If we go into school, I'll tell you what, I'll go home and get your favourite lollipop, and I'll bring it up for home time. As soon as you get in, the sooner it'll be home time, and you can have your lollipop. So that's another technique I use, a sort of bit of bribery and a bit of sort of a bit of mind game, sort of saying, you know, you go in and I'll go and get it, sort of thing. So, you know, we have to separate for you to go in, so I can go and get it, sort of thing. But the important thing with that is to make sure you do it. The problem is if you keep saying to your children you are going to do something, you are going to do something, and then don't, they got to believe and trust you. And, you know, if you sort of say, oh, we'll go and get you a lollipop, and then don't do it, they're sort of like, they don't always forget that sort of thing. They sort of, you know, you promised me this, or you said you was going to do that, and that can really backfire. You've got to say keep your promises, but you've got to follow through with what you do with children. You've got to follow through. But my number one technique that we use the most on my little lady is the favourite toy. She's got a cuddly toy. It's a snowman, which is imagining it titled Mr. Snowman, and she's had this thing since she was probably a year old. It was, you know, she got it for her first Christmas, and she's loved this thing, Mr. Snowman, ever since. And it's been a real toy that she slept with nearly every night, I think. We've done our best to keep him clean and fresh, and it's been, because he's a cuddly toy, the old stuffing goes on the inside a bit, so we've been restuffed a few times to get him plumpness again, and we try very hard to keep him in good shape. You know, it's one of them toys she's probably going to have forever. But what we do with Mr. Snowman sometimes is, when we're feeling a bit fragile and we're at home, maybe Mr. Snowman can come with us to school and help walk us to school. I had one of them massive big bag for lives. A bit of a soft parent, that I don't make my kids carry their school bags and lunch boxes. Partly I do it because with the big bag I like to put everything in an order, so I know I've got everything. So yeah, 3 lunch boxes, so I obviously put the 3 lunch boxes in. 3 school bags, make sure I put the 3 school bags in. So make sure I put 3 school bags in, and water bottles, make sure they go in. So it is a bit for my benefit as well, just to make sure in the morning routine that I have got everything. Obviously it's not foolproof, sometimes it goes wrong. But because I've got this big bag, and then obviously when we get to school I unload the bag of all the, you know, the school bags that are in it. It's obviously got an empty bag which I just take with me to work, leave in the car, or, you know, it's in my rucksack now. And then when I come back I've got to put all this stuff back in when we finish school. But sometimes with Mr. Snowman, we get him to come along for the ride. So we walk up to school, and obviously my youngest one is cuddling Mr. Snowman if she's feeling a bit fragile. And then sometimes when we get to the school gate, depending on how she feels, then we have a little, is Snowman going to stay with Daddy today and come to work with Daddy? And sometimes, yeah, that's enough. She's gone past her fragile stage. She's had extra cuddles with Mr. Snowman. Mr. Snowman's going to be ready for her after school. Mr. Snowman's going to be there after school. So, you know, that's something for her to look forward to, the end of the day. And Mr. Snowman's done his job of being the cuddly toy and looking after his mummy. And then sometimes you're not allowed cuddly toys in school because it's obviously they don't want children fighting over them, or obviously getting lost. So it is a bit of a dangerous game. But with my youngest one, sometimes when she's really bad, we think sometimes Snowman's got to go to school with her for the day. So what we do is we say to Mr. Snowman, look after Mummy, and then hide in Mummy's rucksack, because my youngest, they all have bags for school. So Mr. Snowman will hide in her bag all day at school. I'll make sure he goes in the bag before she goes into school, because as I say, you don't really want other children seeing Mr. Snowman in the bag and, you know, trying to take him out or whatever. So he goes in and gives her a last big cuddle, and then she feels safe that Mr. Snowman is with her. Yeah, so Mr. Snowman goes in the bag, you know, big cuddles. He's going to be there, look after her all day. Don't let Snowman get out of the bag, because he's got to hide, because he's not supposed to be here, is he? So we tuck him in the bag nice and safe. And of course, once Snowman's in the bag and zipped up and they've gone into school and put their bag on the hook, you know, he's pretty safe in there all day. Nobody but me, my daughter and Snowman knows he's in the bag. She feels a little bit more protection and safe that she's got a supporting pillar with her. And those are really the three techniques I use. You know, usually one of them works well. The cuddly toy one, it depends. It's only if they're wobbly at home going to school that one tends to work. Normally they're all right on the you know, walk up to school, and it's just the last little bit. So that's probably where I use number 2 technique. Maybe not always sweeties, but you know, certainly maybe even go and get Mr. Snowman. You know, oh, you know, you're wobbly going to school. I'll tell you what, I'll go home and get Snowman now, and I'll go and get him. Because the thing with telling them that you're leaving the interpretation open. If I say, right, you go into school, I'll go and get Mr. Snowman and I'll bring him back for you, they think you're meaning you're going to go home right there, then pick up the cuddly toy and then go back and drop it off. Obviously you're not, because once they're in school they're going to be alright. But say you have to make sure they're there. You've got the cuddly toy at the end of the, it's just leaving the interpretation open, because as adults we can still outsmart the children, and sometimes it's just wording that you need to get them into the school, and actions that get them into school. And you don't really, there's no good lying to them, because that seems, if you lie to them, it only seems to work once. You know, the next time they catch on to what you're talking about. So bending the truth is seems to be acceptable, because you're not lying to them. You know, the cuddly toys out at the end of the day, they say, well, I thought you were going to bring him in. And I said, well, no, I said I was going to go home and get him, which I did, and now he's here. And that's usually acceptable. But at the end of the day as well, they're not usually as upset about coming home as they are about going in. So they're my three techniques I've used over the years to help get the kids into school. You're more than welcome to leave any comments or views of it yourself. Don't know how many single dad biker parents there are, but I bet there's a few. And yeah, if I can help out in that way, I haven't been through every experience of my children, but if there is any experiences that you want a view on, you're more than welcome to message, and if I've done it, I can certainly give you an idea or two that I've used, or hopefully a helpful technique. If you're having a strange feeling of deja vu of me delivering a letter to this place, you are correct. I'm still being investigated, and they wanted more evidence of everything, so I'm here again dropping off another letter. But let's go and drop this letter off and on to work. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.